Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I'm Adrian Fort, and I am here without Dalton Gentry because it is time for this week's Writer's Quote of the Week. This quote comes to us from John Gardner in The Art of Fiction on page 18. Though the fact is not always obvious at a glance, when we look at the works of art very close to us in time, the artist's primary unit of thought, his primary conscious or unconscious basis for selecting and organizing the details of his work, is genre. One more time. Though the fact is not always obvious at a glance when we look at works of art very close to us in time, the artist's primary unit of thought, his primary conscious or unconscious basis for selecting and organizing the details of his work, is genre. Now, to me, this quote truly illustrates the importance of reading outside the genre that we wish to be accomplished in. That way, we not only avoid falling into the traps of the genre we hope to write in, we are also allowed to cherry pick the good ideas from the genres that we would not normally be reading if we stuck to our own genre. So, all this talk about genre begs the question, what is genre? What defines a genre? What might the strengths and tropes of a genre be? For that, we'll go to Richard A. Heinlein, whose definition of science fiction is as such: realistic speculation about possible future events based solidly on adequate knowledge of the real world, past and present, and on a thorough understanding of the nature and significance of the scientific method. One more time. Richard A. Heinlein's definition of science fiction: realistic speculation about possible future events based solidly on adequate knowledge of the real world, past and present, and on a thorough understanding of the nature and significance of the scientific method. Translated loosely, A Brave New World, science fiction. Star Trek, fantasy. But let's play here a bit longer. The key term to volley at potential science fiction candidates is not speculate or even understanding, but instead is scientific method. The scientific method also figures prevalently into the mystery genre, which should technically be known as the solutions genre. In fact, mystery might celebrate the scientific method even more so than the science fiction genre because of the tropes associated with the genre. That being, we're given evidence that leads towards a culprit, but we're often given overwhelming emotional and opinion and hearsay leading to a red herring. Think every Scooby-Doo episode you've ever seen. So what we must do in the end of a mystery genre novel is choose the scientific method over everything human about the novel. So let's home in further and examine a specific part of the quote. His primary conscious or unconscious basis for selecting and organizing the details of his work is genre. So what does that mean? For beginners, it's where we start the process, where we start the very essence of the work, where we start with pen to paper. Literary fiction, which we talk about on this channel a lot, normally starts with a character. First, you build a character, and then you take something and find something ironic with the story. For example, The Old Man and the Sea is about a very old, very accomplished fisherman who has not caught a fish in a very long time. The Great Gatsby is about the richest guy anyone ever knew, but he's missing two things. One, the girl, and two, the one thing he needs to get the girl: authenticity. Sci-fi often starts with a question. For example, what would humankind do if all of a sudden we found out the sun was about to burn out? Satire often starts with a social woe, after which the author asks his or herself, how can I mask this woe to make it seem as ridiculous as possible? So when beginning a piece, think about what it was that made you fall into the mindset of wanting and needing to write. After that, Try to associate that with a specific genre. Is there something you can cherry pick from a different genre to mix in? What are the tropes of the genre that you are working in? So, before I leave you to your writerly endeavors, here it is one more time, our writerly quote of the week, from John Gardner in The Art of Fiction. Though the fact is not always obvious at a glance, when we look at the works of art very close to us in time, the artist's primary unit of thought, his primary conscious or unconscious basis for selecting and organizing the details of his work, is genre.